we can discuss things in our normal way?
Yep.
Great. Okay. So with that, we will move on to item 2, which is introductions. And I'll start out. My name is Janet Abelson, and I'm chair of the PCC, and I'm from West County.
Janet, let's just have Christine do the roll call vote. That way we have a record of attendance.
You don't mean vote, you mean
roll.
Call the roll?
Yeah, call the roll.
Okay, thank you. Christine?
Chair Abelson?
Here.
Vice Chair Smith?
Here.
Member Anderson?
Member Anderson has been replaced by Rob Thompson.
Okay.
Charlie Anderson retired and gave us notice that Rob Thompson would be the
I have him on here as well. Okay. Member Clark?
So is one of them here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Rob Thompson's here.
Okay.
Welcome. Member Clark?
Here.
Member Cooney?
Here.
Member Gajelli?
Here.
Member Harrington?
Here.
Member Kamara?
Here.
Member Nestor Brush? Member Perry?
Here.
Member Reese Brown? Member Thompson?
Yeah.
Member Toth? That's no Toth. Okay. And Member Labrara? All right, we can move forward with the members present. Is there some
alternate Ridgeway is here for Mallory Bush?
Okay, do we have any other alternates here? No? Okay.
Rosa Noy is here, but her regular member from County Connection is here. So she's just here as a guest.
Okay. Note of that as well. Thank you.
Ready to move on to the next item?
Mm-hmm.
Great. And that would be public comment. And would you like to call on the members of the public?
I see no hands. I see no hands raised. And I have not received any emails from the public either.
Okay. Are there any members of the public?
Yeah, we got it.
No, there are not.
Well, Joanna Palik's here. She's a member of the public.
I have no comment.
I was trying to get a member who would join our committee from representing West County, and our meeting schedule has been so difficult that I think he probably didn't know about this meeting.
And no, he knew about it.
This particular one?
Yeah, we let him know that there would be a meeting in August, that today's date, and he was sent the information. So maybe something happened.
He may have had as much trouble signing on as other people. Anyways, so would you ask him?
Yep, we'll follow up.
Because he's interested. It's just, it's cumbersome. Anyway, with that, we will move on to item 4, which is the consent calendar. The first item on the consent calendar is the Paratransit Coordinating Council summary of actions from May 16th, 2022. And they're presenting in your packet.
Member Dowgelli would like to pull that or at least ask a question.
why don't you ask your question?
I don't have any proof of this, and I guess I just have to ask my other fellow members from East County and Tri-Delta. I don't see why I would have missed the May 16th meeting, but it very clearly states that Pello, Deanna, myself were not present for that meeting. Is there any comment from, Pello? Were we just not at that meeting for some reason? Virtually?
Member
Any-
Smith,
any-
you're on mute if you're
Yeah,
trying to.
I was not at that meeting, Michael. I
Okay.
believe I was ill in May. That's during the period I was ill.
Okay, yeah, because then if that's the case, I'd have to abstain because if I wasn't present, but I can't figure out why I'm normally, I've always been at all the meetings. Does anybody else remember why I might not have attended?
If for any reason you signed off prior to taking a vote on an item, then you would not be included in the
Okay.
members present.
Yeah, it's very clear going through the minutes that it mentions that I wasn't present for any of the votes. So if that's the case, then I would have to abstain, from that discussion item because I wasn't present. So.
Michael?
Yeah.
According to the rule, according to the law, you do not have to abstain from the vote of the consent calendar, even though you weren't there. You're still allowed to vote.
Okay. But I would abstain, but I thank you for clarifying that for me. Yeah. Thank you.
So we're looking for a motion in a second.
Yeah, I had a question too. I'm
Okay.
reading through all the attachments and everything from the report, and I don't see one from City of Richmond. Am I missing it?
It's not there because it hasn't been turned in completed.
Are you talking about on the
Packet, the May 16th packet with all the different cities claim forms?
Yeah, so they didn't submit a claim. We're gonna talk a little bit more in detail about that today on when we get to that item.
El Cerrito was also not on that original one,
Correct.
but that was
yeah.
turned in and it was heard by the subcommittee today.
Yeah, I see that El Cerrito is on here.
El Cerrito. Mhm.
Are we accepting it as part of the packet from the May 16th meeting, even though it wasn't? I have no problem with it.
The minutes are a record of what happened. Yeah, so if it's.
So it's concluded in the minutes from May 16th is the El Cerrito packet, but it wasn't.
What page are you on?
Page 146 of page 176 of the packet from last meeting, May 16th.
I don't have any page numbers that look like that.
That's this packet, Jean.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. It sure is. Never mind. I was looking at the wrong one. I switched around too much, so I'm going to stop talking now. Thanks.
Don't stop talking. That's an honest mistake.
I think I have this.
Never mind, Janet. I was way on the wrong thing. So completely ignore me.
Up the way in the packet stuff. Myself, and maybe still am. So if I start reading the wrong agenda, let me know. But that's the answer to your question.
So what we're looking for now is a motion and a second on the consent calendar.
So I'll move to accept the consent calendar.
This is Kim Ridgway. I will second that.
Okay. All in favor? Oh, wait a minute. Would you call roll, please, Christine?
Yes, absolutely. Member Clark,
Aye.
Member Cooney,
Aye.
Member Diagelli,
Abstain.
Member Harrington,
Aye.
Member Kamara,
Aye.
Member Perry,
Aye.
Member Thompson,
Aye.
and Member Ridgway.
Aye.
The motion passes. What's that, Peter?
You didn't do the chair or vice chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chair Abelson
Aye.
and Vice Chair Smith.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes with members present and Member Diagelli abstaining.
Okay, thank you. Now we're back to our agenda. So we are at the, I guess now we're at 5A. Correct? I'm having a little trouble.
Election of chair and vice chair.
Oh, okay. Oh, I had that in the wrong spot. That's my problem. Okay, so you want to talk about that, please, Peter?
Sure. So we elect a new chair and vice chair every 2 years. So Chair Abelson and Vice Chair Smith are coming to the end of their term. They can be revoted in if it's the desire of the PCC. You have to meet certain eligibility requirements to be the chair and vice chair, and that is you have to have been in attendance at least half of the meetings held over the previous 2 years. So I will let you know the folks that are eligible to hold those offices, and I'll give them to you by the category of who they represent. For the consumers, we have Janet Abelson, Michael Dalgelli, and Othello Smith, or Pello. From the operator category, we have Bridget Cooney, Jean Clark, Rashida Kamara, and Deanna Perry. And from the agencies, we have Vi Ibarra. So I think what we would do is, Madam Chair, is always kind of an awkward thing, but just open it up for, if anybody wants to nominate somebody or themselves to be chair or vice chair. And then we'll see how many nominations we have in each of the categories and either vote separately by roll call, or if we only have one for each, then we can take them together under one roll call vote.
Okay, well, you want to wait until that time to do that?
Yeah, I think we need to get
Okay.
nominations first.
Okay, could you run this part of the meeting, please, Peter?
Sure. So do we have anybody who wants to nominate either themselves or somebody else for chair?
I'm willing to continue.
Jean Clark from San Pablo, I'm willing to throw my hat in for chair as well.
Anyone else? Okay, so we'll close that nomination. Do we, why don't we go ahead and vote on the chair, and then we'll come back and get the vice chair. That way, if somebody's not nominated, that somebody's not elected, maybe they wish to run for vice chair. So let's see, how are we going to do this? Christine, any thoughts? Do we just want to, vote yay or nay on Janet, and then go back and vote yay or nay on Jean? And we'll count the votes. Kimberly, you have a great suggestion for us?
What we've done, at least
with a piece of paper,
what we've done as far as like our committee, like AAC meetings, since there are only 2, we just go around and then the individual votes for whomever. It's a quicker process.
Okay, we can do that. So Christina, you want to go through and call the names and the people can just say who, either Janet or Jean.
Yes. 1 second.
And
Oh,
I'll count so you don't have to.
okay. Member Clark,
Jean,
I'm sorry.
Jean,
Okay. Member Cooney? Jean? Member Diagelli?
Jane,
Member Harrington?
Jean,
Member Kamara?
Jean.
Member Perry?
Jean.
Member Thompson?
Jean,
Member, no, they're not here. They're not here. Member Ridgway?
Jean, please.
And Chair Abelson?
I'll just make it unanimous.
Okay, and Vice Chair Smith? You're on mute, sir. Member Smith? Oh, sorry.
Jean,
Okay. So it looks like Jean is going to be our next chair.
Great, congratulations. So let's take nominations for vice chair. Anybody want to throw their name into the hat for vice chair?
I'd like to throw someone else's name in the hat for vice chair,
Okay.
please. I'd like to nominate Rashida Kamara.
Anyone else have a nomination? Not seeing any. Let's just do a roll call on Rashida being the vice chair.
Okay. Chair Abelson?
You're just voting if you want to see Rashida as the vice chair. She was the only nominee.
Oh, okay. So
Vice Chair Smith?
aye.
Member
Rashida,
Clark?
aye.
Member Cooney? Aye. Member Diagelli?
aye.
Member Harrington?
aye.
Member Kamara?
Aye.
Member Perry?
Aye.
Member Thompson?
aye.
And Member Ridgway.
Aye.
All right, Rashida, congratulations.
Thank you all. I congratulations to Jean and Rashida. I just want to say thank you, Janet. You've been a noble chair for a while, and always taken over when there was a need for that. And I know I really appreciate it. I don't know how many of you know this, but I'm retiring into this year, and I really appreciate Janet's leadership with the PCC, and she's done a great job. So I just wanted to thank her.
thank you, Peter. I'm sorry to hear you're retiring though.
I'm not.
Oh, just from here. Something
So-
closer to home maybe, huh?
Yeah. No, it's going to be a regular retirement.
Uh-huh.
I've worked enough years. So it looks like Gail might have a question.
I have a suggestion, Peter, and you may pass this along, but I attend a lot of Zoom meetings, and when there's voting, there is a document that's shared, and it lists whatever we're voting on, and we choose a box to put our check mark in. That makes it anonymous. And I think I would recommend that that be done in the future.
Okay, great. It's a good suggestion. I don't know how to do that. I'd have to have the admin team figure that one out.
I thought we were doing it out loud because it needed to be, it was not supposed to be anonymous.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that for the next time and see what's allowed. We may be back in person meetings by then anyway, so. All right, Jean, you ready to take over?
Do I get one meeting?
Janet, you want to finish out the meeting?
Unless you want to start.
Take the hot seat, Gene.
Come on, Jean, you can do it. There's 2 items. We'll help you.
Okay. Item 5B, expiration of member terms. The recommendation is, yeah, I didn't read through all of that.
That's okay. I can
Great.
just turn it over to staff and we can take it on. This item actually came to you all in May, but we didn't have a lot of the members that had their terms expiring at the meeting. And so the PCC just decided to push it over to this meeting so that we could get feedback from the folks. And it doesn't look like we have many here either. So expiring terms, Pello Smith, Vi Ibarra, and Debbie Toth. And typically what we would do is find out if they're interested in continuing as members. So happy to reach out to Vi and Debbie. Pello, you're here. I don't know if you want to, let the group know if you're interested in continuing.
I would like to continue.
Okay. And then, I'll have to reach out to Debbie and Vi. Debbie has kind of been off and on as she has had staff and not had staff cover, but she definitely likes, her agency being on the PCC. So if we want to, I leave it up to the PCC on how you want to do this. We can just vote to keep Pello moving forward, and we can bring the other 2 back, or I can have a discussion with them and see what we want to do, or we can take action to have all 3 move forward, and then in the meantime, I can talk to them, and if the other 2 don't want to do it, then we can just have replacements for them. Is there a preference by the group on which way to do it? Dale has his hand up.
Could the motion be, Peter, that they move on pending their agreement?
Yes.
Is that the way it could be said?
Yep.
Good.
That's exactly how we can do it.
I make that motion.
What does move on mean?
We'd move all 3, and Vi Ibarra and Debbie would be
I mean,
pending.
retain all 3?
Yes.
Okay.
But Vi and Debbie would be pending their agreement to continue. So we wouldn't have to take action again. Rashida has her hand up. Oh, she's seconding it? Is that what you're saying? Okay. Rashida seconded. So we have a motion and a second.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Dale Harrington.
Okay, thank you.
And then, Jean, we generally find out if there's any public comment on the item.
Is there any public comment on the item?
No, there's no public comment.
All right. So moved. We can move on to C,
Oh,
which is the one.
We need
No,
to vote
We need to take the
now.
vote.
sorry.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Okay, Member Clark,
Aye.
Member Cooney? Member- Okay. Member Diagelli? Member Diagelli, are you still here?
Aye.
Thank you. Member Kamara?
Aye.
Member Perry?
Aye.
Member Thompson?
Aye.
Member Ridgway?
Aye.
Member Smith?
Aye.
And Member Abelson.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes.
Member Harrington votes aye.
I thought that I had called you. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
All right, the motion passes unanimously.
So
Now-
we'll move. Yeah.
Now we can go to item C.
All right. Item C, approval of the fiscal year 22-23 operator claims for the countywide transportation for seniors and people with disabilities program 15, which is what I had brought up earlier.
So this is, it happened a little bit different this year. We took, we took the dollar amount, the allocation amount to the board, CCTA board for approval. But that approval was contingent on the operators submitting their claims and those claims going through the PCC process, which is a subcommittee of the PCC reviews the claims and has meetings with the operators regarding their claims, and then makes a recommendation to the full PCC to approve those claims. What will happen once the PCC has approved the claims, they would be eligible to receive their funding amount that was put into the funding resolution based on the expenditure plan, since the board has already taken that action. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to members here that were on the subcommittee, Janet and Rashida and Pello and who am I missing? Kimberly, and thank them for reviewing those. It's quite a bit of work. The claims are, well, you can see they're in your packet. So I want to thank them and get their comments. We reviewed, it's been 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think, all of the claims except the city of El Cerrito, which we reviewed today before the PCC meeting. I did promise to explain the city of Richmond has not submitted a full claim. They submitted the narrative, but not the budget part. We still need to get that from them. We have made a couple requests for that information and they still have not submitted it. So until they submit that information, we will not move that claim forward to the subcommittee. So we didn't want to hold up the other agencies' funding, so we're bringing the other agencies that are listed in the recommendation to you today. So I'll turn it over to the subcommittee members. It looks like Rashida has her hand up.
Oh, when you're finished, I did want to comment on the claims when you're done.
Yeah, I'm finished.
Oh, okay. I wanted to tell everybody that submitted claims, thank you very much. A lot of the narratives were really good. They were mostly very well written, probably except for mine. I think mine was the poorest written one. But one of the things that I think that I noticed in the claims is that almost every single one of the claims had what was considered an unmet need. I don't know whether before COVID, in fact, I don't remember, because I think I may have done this maybe just 2 years before COVID started. And I don't think that jumped out as much because everybody was just in the zone in doing what they normally did. But COVID presented an opportunity for us to really focus on what the unmet needs were. And a couple of suggestions were thrown out there. I don't know whether those suggestions were written down. If they weren't written down, then maybe we probably should write those suggestions down so that next year, one, if they haven't gathered data on the unmet need, they probably should gather data on the unmet need. And two, see whether any work was done on the suggestions, just to see whether the suggestions were even viable. Like, we thought about it and it was just a terrible idea, and these are the reasons why. Or we came up with other ideas, and this is what the other idea will cost us. And based on what we currently get, we cannot bring that idea to fruition because this is what we currently have. But if we had an additional 10,000, 15,000, it's something that we think that we can get off the ground, and we're willing to take a stab at it. I think that COVID has provided a unique opportunity for us to look at all of these unmet needs, whether we can initiate addressing them through pilot programs. But I think that we're in a unique position in time when it comes to transportation to collaborate more, to fill in gaps in order to provide more transportation options for our seniors and persons with disabilities. So I just want to put that out there regarding our use of Measure J funds and just having these funds available to us. I think that it's a great provision for us, and we need to be a little bit more creative in making use of that provision. That's all I wanted to say.
This is Janet. I don't know when you said what you just said, Rashida, if you were referring to food delivery programs that are occurring during COVID versus, I mean, would you include those programs? The vans were used in a number of areas for that. Are you excluding those?
No, I'm not excluding that. For many of them, the unmet need, they were meeting the needs of food delivery. In other words, they were using the opportunity to do food deliveries. Mm-hmm. But in addition to them, there were circumstances in which they realized, like for instance, let me see, what was the one with East Bay Paratransit? For instance, East Bay Paratransit talked about passengers that were homeless and they had no place to drop them off. For instance, I think El Cerrito mentioned individuals who were seniors, individuals who were ADA, that they would give over to East Bay Paratransit because they wanted to travel outside of their service area to Oakland. But what about the individuals that were seniors that they could not hand over to East Bay Paratransit? So these were not the need under which they were proactive and were able to deliver food. So they took care of that. But there were a subset of individuals that they realized, like for instance, if you think about, West County or East Bay Paratransit, individuals that could not participate in the one-seat program. So there were certain groups of people that had unmet needs that if maybe they had funding or they discovered over the 2-year period, like, what about these group of individuals? How can we help them? So I guess all I'm saying is that since we have funding, one of the questions that I know I was asking was whether or not we collected data. Once we discovered that we had this unmet need, did we collect data? And many of us actually didn't collect data because we weren't required to collect data and we just kind of discovered it sort of coming up. So maybe we should start collecting data on an unmet need once we discover it. And two, if we bring it up next year, if there are suggestions that came up, which I think I did offer a few suggestions, write those suggestions down and see if, let's go through the process of seeing if those suggestions could actually be implemented. And if it can't be implemented with existing funds, if we do some research on it, we can say, we think that this suggestion is viable, but unfortunately, with the funds that we have, we can't. We're willing to put a pilot together to implement this, but we would need X amount of dollars to do it so that when they come to us next year saying that we know we asked for, we know we asked for 130,000, but if we do this pilot, can we get 150,000 instead? And then we can see that the unmet need is actually being addressed. That way, these gaps in services for seniors and persons with disabilities can actually be taken care of. People can start making use of these funds through practical application. Does that make sense? Not
somewhat.
Yeah, and Rashida, I think this would be a great role for the PCC and maybe memorialize this kind of list of unmet needs in either the January or March meeting, and have the operators, if they haven't already, and I would say if you have those unmet needs and can think of data collection that you could be doing to go ahead and do that. And then, let's see how we as a PCC can make recommendations towards actually filling those unmet needs.
Because I think some of those unmet needs might be able to be filled through programs like the ATS that's coming about.
Yeah.
Some of them might not be able to be filled by that, but I'm sure if we have, I can't remember which program had this great dispatcher, all in all gal. Who was she with? Diana, whatever her name was, but she was great. And there were so many things that she talked about and so many ideas that she had. Jean, I think it was your person, if I remember her correctly. She was fabulous.
Maria.
What's her
yeah,
name?
Maria Garcia.
Yeah.
She-
So
yeah.
there were so many things in her head operationally that she feels could resolve issues,
Mhm.
but it's an unmet need. So we didn't collect data on these. She was just like, well, I just kind of sort of handled it like this. So collecting data, I think, is important. East Bay Paratransit had something that they had. She says it's rare, but we know that it was such a huge service disruption. Collect data on it. If you collect data on it, then we can see how big the gap is, how severe the problem is, and whether or not it can be addressed by an existing program or whether it can be addressed by a fantastic idea that an operations person's come up with that can be developed into a pilot so that we can slowly start to close these gaps. So yes, the PCC can definitely go through this, remove all the unmet needs, and then go back to the agencies and say, this is your unmet need. Could you please collect data for us? This is what you identify. So we're not telling you something new. You identified it. So collect data on it for us. And let's see how we can review this and figure out if we can find funding to help people to get around under the very special circumstances that were identified as an unmet need. I'm done.
So Kimberly, Pello, anything to add? I know Pello, you weren't there today, but you were at the earlier ones.
No, nothing to add.
Janet,
Yeah,
anything else? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Pello.
yeah, I was just gonna say, the only thing I can say is that this was my first go round with the Measure J reviews, and I was really impressed with all of the reports and the detail that was provided, and it really opened my eyes to all the intimacies that each agency has to go through in order to meet this really, really important need. And I would just like to just say how really impressed I was with all of the reports. And I think it's made me a better council member.
Yeah, along what you just said, Pello, we try and encourage new members if they come in during the year to sit on this subcommittee, because you do really learn a lot. And I think Rashida and Kimberly would tell you, even as very seasoned operators, they're very interested in hearing and occasionally get pretty cool new ideas from some of the other operators that are doing things out there. So, when that rolls around again next year, look forward to having other folks sit on that subcommittee. Anybody from the subcommittee want to make a recommendation?
Is that just on?
A motion, yeah.
Peter,
So-
I'd like to make a recommendation. I'd like for the council to go on record that, and I mentioned this, I think, in my comments at the one session I sat in on, after listening to all the reports and hearing all of the ideas and the new ideas and everything, I'd like for this council to go on record that an active effort will be made for the agencies to work more cooperatively in the exchange of ideas, and that they will meet periodically for this exchange. And hopefully we can combine a lot of the good ideas into the various agencies and just make a better paratransit system for everybody. So I guess, so my recommendation is that the council would support the cooperation across the board of the agencies for more collaboration in what they're doing, if that makes sense.
So Pello, I think I said the wrong thing. Appreciate your recommendation. We can't vote on that because it's not on the agenda, but I think it's a great idea. And I think your words have, the operators have heard your words. We have a recommendation in the staff report that the PCC accept these claims and approve these claims that were submitted. And that is for, now I have to read, I have to find them so I can read them. Oh, that's the wrong thing. County Connection, East Bay Paratransit, City of El Cerrito, City of San Pablo, Tri-Delta Transit, and West Contra Costa Transit Authority, or WestCat, as recommended by the Paratransit Coordinating Subcommittee in their previous meetings, and then your approval of them would allow CCTA to start cutting checks, which I'm sure the operators are happy to hear.
Boy, did I mishear you by that much?
No, I said the wrong thing. I was looking for a motion to support the recommendation as opposed to a new recommendation. And
I would so move.
I said the wrong thing. Thanks, Pello.
And this is Janet Abelson. I second that motion.
So Christina will call a roll.
Member Abelson,
Aye.
Member Cooney,
Aye.
Member Diagelli,
Aye.
Member Harrington,
Aye.
Member Kamara. I'm sorry, that's Vice Chair Kamara.
Aye.
Member Perry,
Aye.
Member Smith,
Aye.
Member Thompson,
Aye.
Member Ridgway,
Aye.
and Chair Clark.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously.
So moved. So we'll move on to item 6, reports. Do we have any report from a service review from the advisory committee?
Yes, I do.
Great.
Get it here. Oops, where did I put it? A second. We did have a meeting on August the 2nd. And excuse me. The interesting items on that agenda are well, there's a new member on that committee from Alameda County, whose name is Larry Bunn. And there was a presentation of the East Bay Paratransit Customers Satisfaction Survey, which is done every year. And the broker's report. And the thing that I think was particularly interesting that was covered in that meeting was the contactless payment app. But it was covered by Laura Timothy from BART. Somewhere I've got my phone, so I was going to try and show you what the screen looks like. A second here. There it is. I don't know if you can see my screen down here on the bottom. It looks like a 6. There's an app. And if you open up the app, this is on my phone, right? It tells me I don't have any upcoming trips. If you can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then if I could buy tickets on here, and I don't want to do an additional one because I've already played with that feature too much and have too many tickets in reserve. But you can also use your tickets on there, and you can see it as it's happening on the vehicle. And so it's really cool because it means you don't have to deal with cash as a customer. And it also means that you can put it on a credit card if that's what you want to do. But you can do all of the putting the payment on it ahead of time. And then you just use it as you take a trip. And the van talks to the office, wherever that is, and updates the balance, maybe automatically. I'm not really sure. But the point is that you don't have to do anything as a customer. And so it's really great, I think. And we spent quite a bit of time talking about that. And that's about it. Any questions? Okay.
Rashida?
Maybe both you and Kim might be able to answer this. With the contactless payment, how is that going to interact with Clipper 2 coming up? When is Clipper 2 coming up? Next year?
Clipper doesn't operate on Paratransit.
It will.
I don't know if Clipper 2 will.
Yeah,
that's the answer, and we haven't discussed it at any meeting that I was at.
Kim, do you know how the contactless will work with Clipper? So the payment will be cash, because some people, I guess, will have cash. Then there's going to be Clipper, then there's tickets. So will your app interface with Clipper 2?
That is the idea, to not have to have a separate Clipper app.
Okay.
So that's what they're in talks about right now.
Okay. That'll be nice to know, because like Pello says, we have an app too, and the fare payment portion of it is not in there. And the reason why we haven't pushed the fare payment portion of that app is because we know Clipper 2 was coming. So if we know that it can interface with a different app, then our people don't have to worry about 50 different, like which box on this phone do I have to push to find, we don't want that kind of confusion. If they know that their paratransit or their transit is just one location, then it'll be a lot easier for everybody. So as those are going on, if you could let us know,
Absolutely.
then we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Thank you, Chan.
Mm-hmm. Now, this particular contactless payment app is, I think, still in test phase. I'm part of the pilot test. So I'm not sure that you could just somehow get it.
It's available.
It's available.
It's live now. Mm-hmm.
It's live now? Okay. It really is nice.
That's great.
Member Jelly would like to ask a question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but those of us that have older phones and no intention of having smartphones, are we still going to be able to use the traditional Clipper card?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know. We can continue to load money on it as we have been in the past.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
But that hasn't been true for paratransit, at least not at East Bay.
No, this is just for the Clipper card. So if you have a plastic Clipper card, you you can continue to use that. And then if you load the Clipper card onto your smartphone, then you can use it smartphone only. So you have the option to either continue to use the plastic card or use it on your smartphone. But yes, if you don't have a smartphone or don't want to upload it on your smartphone, you can always continue to use your plastic Clipper card.
Or you could probably even send in money through the mail on a credit card or check.
Not for Clipper. Not for the actual Clipper card.
Clipper,
Yeah.
that's true. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, that's true. I was thinking of the paper tickets that you have to get to ride paratransit. To actually get on a paratransit van, you have to have a paper ticket or had to, or cash. So now that situation has been improved.
Thank you. Is there anything else about the Service Review Advisory Committee, Janet, that you wanted to share?
No, that's it.
Any other comments that anybody else wanted to make? Thank you, Janet. Do we have a report on the Senior Mobility Action Council? All right.
Gail, I think that would normally be you, but if you don't have anything to report this meeting, then that's fine.
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any correspondence or communications that have come in? Christina
I
or
haven't
Peter?
received anything.
No.
Okay, great. We'll move on to the final one, which is future agenda items. I did take some notes here, especially for the gathering unmet needs from all the different transportation reports, and then working on gathering data for that. I think we should put that on the next agenda to address. Is there anybody that would want to work on that? Is that something, I think that's something that, you know, from the council that we could do and put together and present back out to the operators. I'd be more than willing to go through those and compile that. If anybody else wants to work on that with me, we could put that together for the future agenda.
Can I pop in with a
Please.
comment? Only because I'm on the ATSP task force.
Yes.
And this is where I think there's some overlap on what they've identified in the ATSP report and strategic plan. And I'm now going to sign it over to Peter and John Cunningham, who I don't think is on the meeting, but I'm not an expert in any of this. I'm just trying to limit redundancies and work, the amount of work that.
I think it would be helpful based on what Rashida was talking about when the agencies were doing their claims, that was very specific issues versus kind of the bigger picture stuff that, and I think once we get that list together, certainly, as Joanna suggested, that it be presented, you know, to the task force to you know, look out for any funding that comes out in the future, because these are all and The task force is mainly focused on coordination, whereas these may not necessarily be coordination. They just may be unmet needs is what they are, that are gaps that need to be filled, and they may be needed to be filled sub-regionally or countywide, or they just may need to be filled within your own service areas. So I think we can, once we start putting this list together, we can start drawing those conclusions and see how best to handle them.
Okay.
Looks
Yes.
like Kim raised her hand.
Absolutely.
Jean, I'm volunteering to work with you on that project.
Thank you very much. All right, so we have committed to put that on the next agenda. Excellent, and thank you, Rashida, so much for the suggestion and the reminder. Appreciate it a lot. Anything else that people would like to say now to make sure to be put in on the future agenda? One question I had, we were supposed to meet in September, right? This was kind of an off one.
Yeah.
September, and then November, and then January.
Correct.
Do we want to meet in September? Or do we want to push it out to November? Or does anybody have a preference?
I guess I would speak to that. It was a question I brought up, I think, before at the beginning of this meeting. Maybe it was the meeting before. I'm a little not quite sure, but because I've got somebody I found who's interested in becoming a member, but can't seem to get through the hoops that we are roadblocks. I think it's more what it's become. So changing that would be canceling our meeting, I believe, if we didn't meet in September. Assuming, of course, there's business. I mean, the lack of business is to me the reason to cancel the meeting. But what I was noticing is that we don't have many consumers on this board, which is supposed to be, about consumer interests, and the logical place to get the consumer's opinion is on a board that they are, where they actually have 9 seats, which is this board, but we just don't ever fill them. I think that's a problem that needs to be rectified. Having been trying to help this person I know get on this board, and it's been going on for the better part of a year, and so I'm seeing how very hard it is, you might say. So I would like to have us work on the topic of attracting more consumers to those consumer slots. I think I'm the only one in West County. I think there are none, right? In Central County, or am I off there?
I think you're right.
I think, okay. And then in East County seems to do a better job, but I'm not sure what the number is. Do you have your seats filled in East County?
I think they have 2, Michael and Fellow.
So we're down, out of 9, we're down
6.
6.
Is
And
this something that we plan on adding as a future agenda item?
that's what I thought you were talking about, the next meeting.
We can agendize that and throw around some ideas. I think hopefully by September, we'll have a better idea of how this meeting will continue to be presented, whether it's in Zoom or whether we have to return to in-person meetings, or whether it's a hybrid of some kind. That's still up in the air. And that will definitely have an effect on some consumers if they're able to get to the meetings or not. And again, you know, in the past, we've had WestCat and County Connection and Tri-Delta, you know, provide service to members who needed it to get to the meeting. So we would obviously, you know, continue to look for that help. So at least there's transportation options for people to get into the meetings, but you know, hopefully that will become clearer by September. You know, honestly, I guess we could also look, there's nothing set in stone that the months we have the meetings, the months, they could be the alternate months, you know, as opposed to what they are now.
I can think of one. We then hit Christmas, right?
Well, yeah.
Even
we hit Thanksgiving now, so. And similar to what we do, I mean, in December, we could make it like a week earlier, similar to how we make it a week later now in January because of Martin Luther King Day. I mean, there's ways to work around those holidays.
Yeah, but that's the thing, that we live in a world alone and there aren't other things that people do.
No, I understand.
But
I'll tell you too, we have to consider the crunch that's occurring on CCTA admin staff. I mean, you can just tell here, Christina, this is her first time here because she's filling in for somebody who's on vacation, and then we're a person short and we've had a turnover, and so putting on these public meetings is a significant amount of work because of, you know, the agendizing and all that stuff. And if we can spread those out, because we have a couple meetings, we have a couple committees that only meet every other month. So if we can make those so they're happening on opposite months rather than on the same month, it spreads out the workload a little bit. But anyway, that's just stuff that we can talk about it in a future meeting and just say the best way to do it.
Well, maybe that could be the September meeting, and then we could also talk about how we're going to attract consumers to this board.
Yeah. Yep.
So does CCTA staff feel like they can put a meeting together at the regularly scheduled September 19th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we already have it on the calendar.
Okay. I think we have some things, and then hopefully too, we'll have something in review from Richmond as well for their claim form. So we could put that on there if we receive that. Okay. So then we'll keep with the September and November meetings for the remaining of the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we have for agenda items. If nobody has anything else for agenda items, then we may adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Oh,
Thank you.
Oh, wait.
Already. I can't say what I want to say, huh? Can Jean and I have an offline meeting on how to execute our new roles?
Yep.
Thank
For some training.
Yeah, we need to execute, not execute.
We got you. We'll get it set up.
Also,
All right, thank
Peter,
Yes.
I got an invitation to a meeting. Are you there?
Yep.
Okay, for the chair. Could you get that forwarded with the board or something?
With what? What did you ask for?
I got an invitation for a meeting or summit or something with the board, and they wanted the chairs of the committees. Could you get that to the new chair?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll have to figure out what that is. I don't know anything about that. But
I could look up the date. Would that help you?
Yeah, I'm thinking it might be our board retreat. Christine.
Yeah, I think that is what it is.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get that. We'll have Terry Ann send something to Jean.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well done, Jean.
Oh.